Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing strange reasons your ex won't come back. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Subscribe to my weekly support emails. The link is in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing strange reasons your ex won't come back. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you want to avoid any reasons that they might find to stay away. In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 strange reasons that your ex won't come back. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is you get a new pet. Now this doesn't matter whether you had a pet originally, maybe you did, or maybe you never have had a pet. But if you were to get a new pet post-breakup, there is a possibility that this could be a reason that your ex-dumper decides not to come back. Now please understand, I'm not suggesting that this is a definitive reason that will mean your ex can't or won't come back. The point of today's podcast is, as it says on the tin, the description actually of the title, strange reasons. Now these are truthful reasons. These are reasons that I have heard more than once from dumpers as a reason for why they won't reconnect. So there is truth in what I'm saying, but it is not guaranteed, of course, that this could connect to your situation. But what I would suggest is that at least one of the 3 things that I'm speaking about today could be something which might put your ex-dumper off. And if you want to get your ex back, you need to be trying to reduce the possibility of them thinking, well, no, I don't want to reconnect. I don't want to come back to my dumpee. And it is for a reason which might be preventable, if not something strange. So point number 1, like I said, is that you get a new pet. And like I've also just said, this is something that I've heard more than once dumpers use as a reason as for why they can't reconnect in their mind. So what this suggests is that somebody would have reconnected if it wasn't for this. If it wasn't for, in point number 1, that you got a new pet, that they actually would have decided to reach out and try and get back together. But why on earth could getting a new pet prevent your ex-dumper from wanting to reconnect? Well, this plays into the fact that your ex possibly doesn't like a certain type of animal. Now, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Maybe this would be a shock. But just to use the examples that I've heard, for instance, a dumpee got a dog. Now, the dumper doesn't like dogs. They never did, and they wouldn't in the future. And the dumpee did know this. So in this case, the dumpee getting a dog, whether they were actively thinking, well, I don't care anymore, I want a dog, my ex has dumped me, I'm not bothered what they think anymore, I'm doing this for me, whether they were doing it for that reason, whether they just wasn't really thinking at all, or whether they were deliberately trying to annoy their dumper, which wouldn't really be ideal if they wanted to reconnect. Whatever the reason, they decided to get a dog, and their ex-dumper would not reconnect with them due to this reason. Now, you need to consider your own situation. It doesn't, of course, have to involve a dog. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Perhaps it's a cat. It could be any animal indeed. Now, it might be that your ex-dumper has a phobia. It might be that they have a type of allergy where they can't be near a certain pet. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they are fearful of a pet. It might be that they literally can't go near a certain species of animal because it makes them sneeze or itch or something that they just can't be in the same place. Now, dogs and cats are probably the most common pets that people can have, but of course, it could be anything. When I'm speaking about phobias, of course, we do consider other more unique types of pets, such as snakes or even spiders, things which maybe you are interested in as a dumpee, but your ex-dumper absolutely wouldn't be. Now, should you get a pet, even if your ex-dumper doesn't like it? Well, that of course is up to you. As a single person, you must live your life for you, not your ex. But you do need to bear in mind that if you want to reconnect with your dumper at some stage, you need to try and remove barriers, not put new barriers up. Maybe you've never had a pet, and this is a big shock to you, but it could be something which holds your dumper back. Or perhaps you've always had a certain type of pet, but you want to try and get a new animal. Either way, just have a think about it. Yes, you must do it for you, but you also must consider if it's going to put your ex-dumper off from reconnecting with you. Is this something that you really want to be doing at this stage? There is no right or wrong answer, but if you do want to reconnect, you have to be sensible when you consider what might put your dumper off. Now, perhaps it's not even about the fact that they have a phobia, and it might not even be about the fact that they have an allergy. There could be other reasons as well as for why your ex-dumper doesn't want to reconnect with you due to you getting a pet, and this could be along the lines of the responsibility. Going back to the concept of getting a dog, this is a huge responsibility. You would need to walk it. You would need to look after it, perhaps more so than other potential animals. Maybe you and your ex lived a life where you both had very little free time, and if your ex-dumper now discovers you have a dog, which means that you're going to be responsible for walking it, maybe this suggests that you wouldn't be able to go on trips that you and your ex used to go on because they know you wouldn't really want to put it in a kennel, or whatever it may be. You see what I'm saying here? The possibilities are endless, but it's really important to understand that although it's somewhat strange, I've definitely heard some dumpers decide they're not going to come back because their dumpee got a new pet. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube, and if you have the new hype feature, please hype this video as well. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is you change too much. Now today we're talking about strange reasons that your ex won't come back, and point number 2 is strange because I often suggest that as a dumpee, you need to grow, you need to improve. I often say that if you are the same person that your ex dumped, well, they're not likely to want to come back. So that must make you think, well, I need to change. And yes, I do believe you need to. But if you change too much, your ex-dumper might not want to reconnect. So what is the difference here? There is a lot of confusion. Well, I would suggest that you need to grow, but don't change drastically. Don't change completely. Don't change the core person of who you are if you want to reconnect with your ex, because there is something within you that obviously at some stage they saw and really loved. Now there is that differential. Yes, you need to grow. No, you can't stay the same person that was dumped, but you must be the same core. There is a difference there. For instance, if you completely change your position on politics, okay, that is an example of where your ex-dumper might not really believe who you are as a person anymore. Maybe you used to post online about one type of politics, and now you post online about another. Now, do I suggest that you live your life for your ex in this way? No. As I've already said earlier on, you must live your life for you, but you must also understand, if you want to get your ex back, and you know that they don't like a certain type of politics, if you now believe in that type of politics, well, that's okay, but don't expect to get them back. You know, you need to use your common sense in this way, but it doesn't just have to connect with politics. It could be anything at all. Maybe you were someone who used to have long hair, and now all of a sudden you've decided to shave it all off. Should you be doing this? Well, I would suggest during a breakup, you shouldn't make drastic decisions, which could take a long time, if ever, to change back in case you regret it. And in connection to an ex, doing something such as shaving all of your hair off might be something which really puts them off reconnecting with you. Maybe they loved you with long hair. Now, does this mean you should live your life for them? Once again, no, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying think. I'm just saying you should be making sure that you don't change too much. You don't change too drastically. Perhaps you were someone who never had a tattoo, and now you've decided to get tattoos all over your body. Again, that's quite a drastic change, especially during a breakup when you are likely going through emotional instability. It doesn't mean you can't get a tattoo. It doesn't mean a tattoo wouldn't suit you. But if your ex was used to you not having tattoos, and now you are covered in tattoos, do you really think that they're going to necessarily want to reconnect with you if they don't find you as physically attractive as they once did? Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. It's just a consideration. So in general, what I'm suggesting is yes, you must change from the person that was dumped, but that is due to you growing as a person and improving, adding strings to your bow, not completely changing the person that you are, not being a completely different individual to the person that your ex-dumper once loved. Now, if you change and grow for you over a period of time, that is natural progression. That's fine. But if, for instance, you were dumped 2 months ago, and now you're a completely different person, whether this is within your mindset, or physically, or both, then you can't necessarily expect your ex-dumper to think, actually, I want to get back with my ex, because if you were too drastically different to the person that they once loved, they might not want to be with you. Now you are a different person in every single way. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammates via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is it's the wrong season. So far in today's podcast, where we've been discussing strange reasons that your ex won't come back, they've been connected to something that you as a dumpee may have done post-breakup. Now, point number 3 is a little bit different. This isn't something you can change per se, but it does showcase why you need to practice patience if you want to reconnect. Very few people get their ex back during the days or weeks post-breakup. Most people who reconnect are going to be looking months into the future before they get that opportunity. And this ties into strange reason number 3 of why your ex-dumper might decide they don't want to reconnect. And that is that it's the wrong season. Now, I've been told by more than one dumper that they didn't want to reconnect with their dumpee, not due to the fact they weren't attracted or interested, because they were, but instead because it wasn't the correct season of the year that they wanted to try and reconnect. Now, this might sound bizarre, and that really is because it is, it is a strange reason. However, there is method to the madness, and that is that some people want to live a single life during certain periods of the year. Now, I'm going to use the example of the Northern Hemisphere. Obviously, if you are living in the Southern Hemisphere, you can just flip this around, or whatever the cultural situation where you particularly live. But what I'm going to suggest here is, for instance, your ex-dumper might think, well, we're coming towards the summer, and I want to go travelling, I want to go to these events that I've been invited to, I want to do these things, and I want to do them as a single person. I don't want the responsibility of being in a relationship. I don't think my dumpee could come with me. I don't want to be having to have these late night phone calls every night, keeping our relationship going, where instead I could be going to events and parties and experiencing different things. I don't want the responsibility of a relationship, so I'm not going to get back with my ex during the summer. Now that is just one example. You could be seeing a situation where your ex-dumper has decided they don't want to reconnect in the winter because perhaps you live a little way apart and they don't feel they can travel to where you are during that time due to the terrible weather. Now, I'm just using a couple of different examples there, but you can kind of see what I'm saying. Some dumpers genuinely believe that they will one day reconnect with their dumpee, but they're not ready to right now because it's the wrong season, but a few months down the line, they will try and reconnect. Now, is this arrogant from your ex, just keeping you waiting for them, so to speak, whilst they live their life and wait to the appropriate time to get back with you? Well, it could be deemed as somewhat arrogant, and it doesn't mean dumpees, but you have to accept what they're doing. Not that you probably ever would really find out that was the reasoning, and I'm not suggesting you challenge your ex if they reach out to you as whether or not they've been waiting for a specific season of the year, because firstly, it's probably not the case. It is a rare and strange situation, but also, even if it was, do you really think that they would agree and admit it? That would just cause a likely argument. You don't want to be doing that. But just bear in mind, dumpees, that sometimes you might be waiting a fairly long time to hear from your ex because they don't believe it's the right time of year to try and get back together. If and when they do reach out, you don't have to accept it. It's not just about them, it's about you as well. And you might not want to be with them during a certain time of year, okay? So it goes both ways. Ultimately, though, this is a very strange reason because if they do reconnect with you, hopefully this time it will be forevermore, and therefore the season that they was avoiding being with you, well, it will come round again. Now, unless, of course, this was connected to specific events and experiences and things that they'd already agreed and planned to do, and that isn't going to happen every single year, this, as a season, of course, will come round and round. And that is why I would suggest that's probably one of the strangest reasons that I've heard of dumpers not wanting to reconnect with their ex.